What do they call you? Wheels?
With Sony's most recent state of play giving us an extended look at Marvel's Wolverine, join me, Wheels, as I explain everything we know about Marvel's Wolverine so far. So, thanks to the official description on the PlayStation Store and an interview with the game's creators with IGN, I've basically been able to piece together the premise of this story. At the opening of the game, Logan has given up on being Wolverine, having walked out on his team 3 years ago. Yet, tech inventor and billionaire industrialist Bolivar Trask, yes, the creator of the Sentinels, has this fanatical belief in human superiority and has begun kidnapping mutants, hiring the cyborg assassins, the Reavers, to handle his dirty work. So, with this threat to all mutants worldwide, Wolverine returns and reunites with his old team, the Mutant Task Force, Team X, to save the day. Now, in the comics, Team X was a Black Ops task force that both Logan and Sabretooth were on for the CIA, sometime around the 1960s, before the Weapon X program and even the X-Men existed. So, it's interesting to see it here in the modern day. Our protagonists will be travelling across the world, from the Canadian wilderness to the streets of Tokyo and the island nation and hub of crime, Madripoor, teaming up with various mutants across his journey. The description also promises an emotionally charged story, dealing with identity, loyalty, and uncovering the truth behind Wolverine's past. Another important thing to note is that the X-Men do not exist in this universe. Yes, you heard me right, they don't exist at all. Hence why Team X is still a thing. And I think this is a crazy choice, but we'll see how it goes. Now, this is a Wolverine game, but it is already filled with a plethora of different characters from the wider X-Men mythos. The main reveal from this new gameplay trailer was, of course, the inclusion of original X-Men and Omega level mutant, Jean Grey. Here in the trailer, Jean has her pink-purple telekinetic power signature and is also on the hunt to rescue these mutants from the Reavers, and has apparently become somewhat of a leader to them. She teams up with Logan, using her telekinesis to wreak havoc, but it's clear that the two characters don't actually know each other. Again, the X-Men don't exist here, so she doesn't have any of her famous costumes and is just in a standard trench coat instead. But personally, I think the gameplay looks really cool. The mutants who have been kidnapped in this gameplay section are actual X-Men characters, and the majority of them are Morlocks, a group of mutants who can't fit or pass in society, so are forced to live in the sewers of New York instead. They are usually led by Callisto, who we can see here, but other notable members include Leech, who can neutralize other people's powers, Skids, who has an invisible force field around her body, Caliban, who can track other mutants, and Anna Lee, an old lady who can manipulate emotions. Additionally, Toad is here, as he looked in the early 2000s, along with Nature Girl, who has a connection to the Earth itself and can talk to animals and plants. Now, in terms of villains, while the Reavers are clearly henchmen in this game, there are a few named members of the crew, including Skullbuster, who Wolverine fights in this trailer. It's safe to assume then that we'll also be seeing the other Reavers, like Bonebreaker, Pretty Boy, Donald Pierce, and maybe even Lady Deathstrike. Since Bolivar Trask is an overarching figure in the story, it's pretty obvious that Wolverine will be fighting against Sentinels too. We've also seen Wolverine face off against members of the Hand in Tokyo, and even known Wolverine nemesis, Ogun, is revealed here too. Now, for those that don't know, Ogun is a ninja who actually mentored Logan years back in the past. However, he became obsessed with cheating death, and using magic became a spirit that could possess others, eventually overtaking their bodies. Notably, Ogun has possessed both Kitty Pryde and Lady Deathstrike, and has tried and failed to control Wolverine on several occasions, which is part of why they become enemies. We also see more of Omega Red, Mystique, and, as revealed in the trailer, Sabretooth. Yet, as confirmed by the game's creators, Wolverine and Sabretooth will actually be on the same side and working together, which might be surprising at first, but then when you consider the fact that this revolves around Team X and the fact that their outfit looks very similar, it makes sense. Though, knowing Victor Creed, I don't really see this alliance lasting the entire game. And I mean, having Sabretooth and the Morlocks in the same story says only one thing to me: mutant massacre. Onto the gameplay of Wolverine. Much like Spider-Man, it's fast-paced and focused on quick moves that become combos. Unlike Spider-Man, however, it is so much more bloody and gory, with Logan stabbing, killing, and dismembering all of the people he fights. These combos build a so-called rage meter, which allows Logan to do more powerful special moves. His special moves are called techniques and can be unlocked with technique points, which are given to you as you progress through the story. It's essentially a skill tree, if anyone's confused. Now, if the rage meter reaches the third and final tier, then Wolverine goes into a berserker mode, signified by the screen going into a monochromatic color scheme, inspired by the Black, White, and Blood series. However, this rage does decay over time, so it's important to keep the kills going. One interesting twist regarding Logan's abilities is that he's not immortal in this game. In combat, his body is focused on fighting, so his healing factor is weaker and more passive. So it can be pushed too far, and he can die if he loses all of his health. However, if you still have rage, this can be converted into adrenaline that restarts his heart and keeps him going, initiating a quick time event where you mash a bunch of buttons. Once the rage is used up though, there will be no more second chances, which I think is a good balance to Wolverine's powers and is in keeping with how his powers worked before he suddenly became immortal sometime in the 2000s. Insomniac are also bringing back co-op moves with the other characters that Wolverine will be fighting alongside. In the trailer, we can see Jean lifting Logan up to finish a move or bringing a henchman to him. But they won't all work the same way, as the game director has said that when fighting with Sabretooth, Victor is a lot more competitive and will actually try and steal your kills. It should also be mentioned though that the game director has explicitly stated that this game is all about Wolverine and you play Wolverine the whole way through. We wanted to keep the focus on him throughout the whole story, essentially shutting down the possibility of playing as other characters in certain missions. I personally hope this is a lie just to keep a surprise, or maybe that there's DLC lined up in the future. Because how cool would it be to play as Jean Grey throwing people around with her telekinesis, or a stealth mission playing as a shape-shifting Mystique? But talking about stealth, much like the Spider-Man games, stealth is a viable playstyle option. However, unlike its predecessors, Marvel's Wolverine is not open world, instead choosing to create a high-octane, high-intrigue, linear single-player adventure. And the missions are built in a way that several different paths can be taken, and there is variety in the feel of the different environments. As mentioned, he'll be going from Canada to Tokyo to Madripoor and who knows where else. And finally, we have the costumes, which have become a fun staple of the Marvel Insomniac games, and Wolverine is no exception. Of course, he has his standard Wolverine outfit, but from the trailers, we've also seen him in some more casual looks, with a red shirt and cowboy hat, and even a classic leather jacket, along with some comic book designs too, from his Madripoor disguise patch and his classic brown and tan X-Men outfit too. The digital deluxe version of the game will also include 5 exclusive outfits, these being the black leather new X-Men design, his original suit from Incredible Hulk issue 180, his Age of Apocalypse design including the missing hand, and 2 new original designs labelled Night Hunter and Savage. I'm not too sure if there was any inspiration for these, but the Savage one does kind of look like a mix between Wolverine's outfit from 2013 and the unused Alex Ross designs. Now, if you could pick any Wolverine suit to also include in the game as an option, what would it be? Let me know down below in the comments. Additionally, Wolverine's claws will also be customizable. I'm not exactly sure how they will look different, but you can change the claws, apparently. With that, that's everything we know about Marvel's Wolverine so far. So, are you excited for the game? How do you feel about Jean Grey's inclusion? And what are your thoughts around the X-Men not actually existing in this universe? Let me know down below in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you want to see more videos about the X-Men from me. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.